Wherever you're tuning in from, drop your city, your country, and what time it is right now in the comments. Because trust me, what's about to happen might make you want to check if your own neighborhood is as peaceful as you think. Now, picture this. A father stands in front of his two-story home in Hemlock Creek Estates, the kind of place where even the squirrels seem to have a dress code, and the smell of fresh-cut grass is basically HOA mandated. He's wearing a suit, sleeves rolled up, his son Jaden by his side, both of them beaming at the candy apple red Dodge Challenger gleaming on their driveway. This isn't just a car. It's a promise fulfilled, the reward for Jaden's years of hard work, straight A's, and a full ride to college. Historians still argue whether the glow in Jaden's eyes is brighter than the chrome, but right now, it doesn't matter. Father and son are soaking up a moment of pure, hard-won joy. Except, of course, no fairy tale in suburbia comes without a dragon. In this case, she wears a Pepto-Bismol pink blazer and storms over the pristine lawns like a tornado of bad intentions. She's Julia, the HOA treasurer, part-time neighborhood enforcer, and, apparently, full-time collector of grievances. By her side waddles Gary, her husband, mid-50s, tank top, perpetually chewing pizza, and contributing nothing but cholesterol to the situation. Julia's finger, sharp as a pencil and twice as dangerous, jabs at the car. "What is that?" she demands, voice somewhere between a banshee and a malfunctioning fire alarm. The punchline? She isn't just angry about the car. She's angry about the idea that success could land on someone else's doorstep, especially when she believes Gary, unemployed for years, is more deserving. If you've ever seen someone claim, "My dog ate my homework," you'll understand her logic. Reality is negotiable if you whine loudly enough. The father stands his ground, arms folded, tone calm, explaining that the car is a gift, that Jaden earned every inch of rubber on those tires. Julia's response is a cocktail of disbelief and thinly veiled prejudice, her voice rising until even the neighbor's decorative garden gnome seems to cringe. Gary lets out a bored belch, either a sign of agreement or a tactical pizza maneuver, hard to say. As Julia rants about deserving and fairness, her face flushes pink enough to blend with her blazer. There's a scholarly debate in local HOA circles about whether this is the moment she decides to go to war, or if she'd been waiting for an excuse all along. All the father knows is that the real engine roaring in Hemlock Creek isn't the Challenger. It's resentment, revved up and ready to blow. The fallout doesn't wait for sunrise. Within days, the joy of that driveway moment starts to fray, the first threads pulled loose by a letter bearing the weighty Hemlock Creek logo, a violation notice for vehicle nuisance. Jaden's Challenger, apparently, offends the delicate sensibilities of the neighborhood with its excessive engine noise, despite the fact that it's been driven more gently than a porcelain teacup at a knitting circle. The fine, $150, with threats of compounding interest if unpaid. There's something darkly comedic about the HOA's devotion to paper trails. If bureaucracy were an Olympic sport, Julia would take gold and then fine everyone else for stepping on the podium. Historians still argue whether the true madness of suburbia lies in the covenants themselves or the creativity with which they're enforced. No matter, the letters multiply, each more absurd than the last. Aesthetics violation, red is not a community-approved hue. Improper parking, 2 inches onto the grass. And, in a particularly inspired moment, a fine for fluid leakage, a single drop of AC condensation. The father spends nights poring over the HOA's 100-page covenant, cross-eyed from legalese and the slow-drip anxiety of knowing the game is rigged. His neighbors, previously eager with waves and small talk, now avoid eye contact. They've been CC'd on every notice. Silence is the HOA's secondary currency, traded at a premium. The tension grows, its presence thick as humidity. Jaden, who once drove the Challenger with pride, now parks it in the garage, hiding it like contraband. "Maybe we should just sell it, Dad," he says one night, his voice thin as tissue. The father refuses. This isn't about a car anymore. It's about not letting someone else define their worth. It's about not ceding the ground that was bought with sacrifice and ambition. But the war shifts from the page to the pavement. A deep scratch appears on the car's side, deliberate, surgical, impossible to mistake for accident. Eggs splatter against the garage door one morning, yolk running down like yellow tears. The police come, take a report, and leave with a shrug, the file destined for the same cabinet where hope goes to die. There's an open scholarly debate. Are these acts the peak of Julia's pettiness or just her warm-up act? Either way, it's clear she wants a reaction. One night, the father catches movement outside. Through the blinds, he sees Julia herself, hooded, crouched by the Challenger, an ice pick in hand. Tires hiss, air bleeding into the night. When he confronts her, phone camera rolling, she turns the moment into theater, slashing her own arm and screaming for help, painting him as the aggressor. The lights of police cruisers flare blue and red against the house, and within minutes he's cuffed on his own lawn, the truth buried under a landslide of perception, performance, and pink-blazered audacity. It's said that courtrooms are less about justice and more about performance, and nowhere does that feel truer than the chilly paneled interior where the father finds himself. His suit a poor disguise for the disbelief and exhaustion written across his face. Ms. Amani, his steel-nerved attorney, is already dismantling the prosecution's fairy tale, brick by brick, but the process is a slow, brutal slog. Historians still debate whether the most persuasive evidence is cold hard facts or a trembling voice paired with well-timed tears, but Julia has mastered both. On the stand, she recounts her trauma with operatic skill, her hands shaking, her voice cracking. Her husband Gary slumped beside her like an understudy who missed all the rehearsals but still got the role. Jaden, watching all this from the gallery, sits rigid, the joy that once filled his world compressed into something heavy and sharp. The Challenger sits untouched in the garage, a monument to the cost of sticking your neck out in a place that only loves conformity. The neighborhood's whispers have grown teeth. Online posts, hushed phone calls, even a local tabloid article with a mugshot headline that could turn milk sour. The father endures, stone-faced, as witnesses parade in, each one reciting a slightly edited version of the same fable. The new guy is trouble, the car is dangerous, the old order must be preserved. But justice, like a lazy dog, sometimes lumbers to its feet. Ms. Imani secures video evidence, a neighbor's doorbell cam, too grainy for a Hollywood close-up, but clear enough to show Julia prowling in the dark, ice pick in hand, well before the confrontation. The pivotal moment comes when a string of text messages surfaces, Gary joking about Plan B, and Julia's big courtroom finale, right before her dramatic collapse on the witness stand. There's a split second where the mask slips, the performance crumbles, and the whole jury sees through the act. The judge, weary but finally animated, dismisses all charges. Julia and Gary face their own reckoning, the whispers in the neighborhood now turned back upon them. Still, victory is a quiet, unsatisfying thing. The wounds linger. Jaden walks with a touch more wariness. The father meets every sunrise with a trace of suspicion, and the Challenger remains in the garage, gleaming, but not yet forgiven. The war for dignity and belonging, for the right to stand tall in your own driveway, isn't won in a single verdict. Slowly, the days lengthen and the house, once thick with tension, begins to exhale. The neighbors keep their distance, but here and there, new voices reach out, tentative, supportive, ready to challenge the silence. And though the scars of betrayal don't fade easily, the father reminds himself that endurance, not victory, is sometimes the truest legacy a parent can leave. As dusk falls on Hemlock Creek, a soft calm settles. The world turns, indifferent to justice. But within these walls, a promise still glows, quiet, battered, but unbroken. And now, let's let the story drift quietly into the background, leaving only the hush of the evening and the gentle sense that, somehow, in spite of it all, the world keeps turning. Let your breath slow, let your shoulders ease, and if you're listening at night, let the distant hum of cars and the soft creak of your home remind you that peace, though fragile, still finds its way back. The father, his son, even that bright red Challenger, each remains a little changed but not defeated, beneath a sky stretching endlessly above Hemlock Creek and every place like it. Maybe tomorrow brings another small kindness, a new beginning, or just the simple comfort of knowing you've endured. As this story settles around you, close your eyes if you wish, and let the last image be of a father and son, side by side, holding fast to the promise that joy is worth fighting for, even and especially when it's hardest to keep.